Hi there. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. I wanted to take a moment to talk about the in-between eclipse energy, and I also pulled a card in honor of it. So I will talk about this in just a moment. As for when this is being recorded, the moon is in Capricorn, nearing Pluto, so it could be a more somber Saturday if you're listening to this, and or it could be a really excellent time to delve into deeper reflective processes. Saturn rules Capricorn, and that can be the reflective process, and Pluto is our deep subconscious soul. So and then the moon is, of course, like also the subconscious, also the like the shadowy feeling into the darker aspects of the self. It's not quite so coherent, linear, and just like logically solar driven material. All that said, what I wanted to talk about, so I did a longer video last weekend on the lunar eclipse. It was a partial lunar eclipse in Libra on the South Node. I didn't really get into any of the details about that. I more did this channeled message that came through. It's a little rusty, and I realized after the fact I really wanted to talk about the two different, the lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse. So the solar eclipse is going to be next Saturday on the 28th. That's going to be a full moon. Last weekend was the new moon. If I can create space, I'm going to do a reading for that too, because I'm feeling just a ton of inspiration around this. And like I said, I was a little rusty in the last reading, so forgive some of it was a little bit of just rambly, very personal talking, and I'm not going to take it down just because I am also working on this, just showing up as I am without the perfectionism. But it has kind of inspired me to keep running with things. So, about the solar eclipse next weekend, that's going to be a full moon. That's going to be in Aries, and that's going to be on the North Node. So, the nodes of the moon. Let's see, what's the best way to put this? A lot of people talk about it as like past versus destiny. Or the known versus the unknown. I like to think of the North Node as the North Star, like where you're going. But there's nothing wrong with where you've been, because that's how you navigate to where you're going. So it's also going to be in Aries, which is a very fiery new beginning energy, whereas full moons are more of a closing, like for closing out the cycle or accumulating the full cycle. So there's a little bit of paradoxical energy going on there with this like brand new direction. And then, everyone always, like I've been following evolutionary astrology since 2015. And when I started listening to it then, I would hear about how eclipses are these wormholes or these big times of change, and that like everything can shift dramatically. And I remember thinking at the time, like, well, how have I lived my whole life without knowing this? And then now it's like every eclipse season, I'm like, not in fear, but just like, oh boy, everything's like going to get shaken up and changed again. And so what I always want to say with these videos is take what you like and leave the rest. And I work on that basis of like what really resonates and what doesn't. And I'm just trying to speak from the purest place I can. Sort of have one foot in this world and one foot not in this world. So I wanted to just impart that information about the eclipses, and then also maybe bring in the question of, did you notice in this past week, has more themes of the past shown up for you? Have you been revisiting places on your internal Fibonacci sequence or spiral that you thought maybe had been totally resolved, and then some old material came up to revisit or work through? I know that happened for me. I'm curious if it happened for anyone else. Now we're sort of in this in-between state of, it's like this beautiful crescent moon is out right now. We're not even to the half moon phase yet. but this questioning and this reflection of like, I almost feel like I've been not taken back into the past. It's like there's more of an observer ability online with past experiences, and that's like what a lot of the South Node can be. And then Libra, I emphasized listening in the last video, but Libra's very much relational, as we all know. And so what were themes around like relationships or past relationships, or how have you grown from things you've learned? I really want to give personal examples, and I don't know if it's just appropriate to do so. There's a crow calling outside the window. That's very Capricorn moon, Saturday. So the main message is just today is a really good day to if you're feeling called, to just be more reflective about your process, and then also to give you a heads up about the full moon is really going to be illuminating and helping us see a clearer picture and how we're going to go forward. It also just feels like very catalytic energy. And I think if I do a reading for that, I think I'm going to start off with talking about how I'm feeling and perceiving the energies, and maybe that'll be validating for someone instead of just like messages coming through the cards. I think I'm going to start there, then maybe briefly touch into the astrology. I don't want to bore anyone that's not into astrology with the astro lingo. I want to try and keep that to a minimum, although I do feel it can be like very important information of how to work with the energies and or validating when you hear either of those things. That has been my case. But the energy's intense. Pluto, Lord of the underworld, that rules Scorpio, death and rebirth, which we're about to go into Scorpio season on the 23rd. The sun will enter Scorpio then, for any of those of you that are into that. Mercury will follow, or actually Mercury will precede it the day before. So we're going to have this like really just illuminated mental sphere in our own depth. So this is sort of a preparation for that. And Pluto is just it's not really within our conscious grasp. Mars is going to be more the conscious grasp. Pluto's going to be the stuff that gets shoved under the rug because it's almost too hard to deal with. So you want to have safe containers. Capricorn moon's also a good idea. Have a safe container today. Have a safe container if you're going to do any kind of deep work or shadow work or just deep reflective work. Even just a journal can be a container, like the safe space of the page. And as far as the astrology goes, Pluto is squaring the nodes of the moon, which are points on the ecliptic. They're not actual planets, but they're powerful little points that when any planet squares the nodes, there is like something unresolved that needs resolved for evolution to continue. So collectively we're going through that. So not only is Pluto incredibly intense, like there's a collective intensity. So again, just remember the self-care is really important. The being gentle, the getting extra rest if you need it, reaching out, just any kind of like supportive behaviors, or if you're doing any kind of deeper work. I know I've been sleeping a lot more than normal, which is nice because I feel like I've had minor insomnia for years. So rest is really, really good. And Okay, now that was what I really wanted to get to in the last message. And there's so much I want to do with this channel that I just need to figure out for you all. In the longer video, I really spoke to the importance of listening. I know a lot of people would like me to get on camera, and I'm just really camera shy. Like, I don't know that it's ever going to happen. But I feel like, when you're on the phone versus video chat, even though we feel sometimes safer being able to see or relate, like, everything is so online these days, and so all the Zoom and all the isolation, that like having the human presence, there is like a big importance to that. However, with me specifically, I'm so Neptunian, I'm so sensitive, and I get so flooded so easily and so overwhelmed that it's I can access more information. I can go into a deeper trance when I'm not concerned about appearance. And on the other side, it activates the listening capability, right? Like when there isn't like an image to just pick apart or judge or all of those like ego 3D things, then it's like you listen more with a deeper part of yourself. And I once had this really good friend, and I remember I used to get a little trigger happy before trigger was even a trendy word. And, we'd be out getting coffee and she wouldn't be looking me in the eye. And I'd be like, hey, why don't you look at me in the eye? And she goes, oh, because I'm listening. I'm turning my ear towards you. And that always stuck with me. I also had another good friend talk about listen from a deeper place, like listen from your body, listen from your heart. Don't just listen to the words, listen like with everything within you. So I really wanted that message to come through last week as well. Sometimes I get a little like the stage fright kind of picks up and not everything comes through. So I'm hoping with practice that gets a little better. I really appreciate those of you that do tune in and stick with me. Like I mentioned in the last video, like I'm not really into the whole like, it's not that the rules don't apply to me, because they do, and I only hurt myself by not playing the game, but I come from a purer place where I just, I don't want to do all the bells and whistles and all the, feels like very circus act performing to me, and that just isn't me. So if the channel suffers, if the reach suffers, I don't know, that just isn't how I operate. So like the authenticity is very important to me. So, okay, so now finally getting to this card, if you're still here, I was inspired to draw from the Dreamscape Oracle by Hughs. I got this actually in California when I went to visit the Redwood Forest at a little shop in Trinidad. And I haven't used it a whole lot. I got it last summer, 2022, and I just looked at all my cards, grabbed it, said, what do we need to know in between eclipses, and was pleasantly surprised to grab this card. It is, it's a little creepy. It very fits the Pluto Capricorn moon right now and the kind of weird energy, but also very empowered, strong energy. And with what I was just saying, right, like you can't see her eyes, but it's like there's a deeper knowing that goes beyond sight is what I see with this card. And then the I don't know if you can see there, but there's like the third eye is open, almost with the crown or the halo or the ram's ears, which would be the Aries energy. Some indication of wings. There's like the snakes are wrapping around her neck. Again, some wings. It's just a very striking image. And I haven't pulled this out of this deck. I normally pull like the turtle card, and I'm like, okay, how many times can I pull the sea turtle card? But let me just read this for you. And this is the message in between eclipses that if you're watching this, you need to know. The seer. They know. They have power to open their third eye and see past what is known and peer right into the unknown. The seer honors the gifts the gods have bestowed upon them. They allow their imagination to tell what will come and how to manage the flow of information. Snakes wrap around their neck, protecting, defending all the words and visions of the seer. Going up to meet them invokes the will of the gods. Are you ready to hear what they have to tell you? Can you handle the news they will tell you about what's coming into your life, for better or worse? And the meaning is, listen to the universe in order to bring the dreams of insight. Locate the balance between fate and free will. So, really potent message. It fits with the theme of listening I was talking about. Pluto, hey, it's god of the underworld. Like, are you ready to hear what the depths of your soul has to tell you if you're going to listen? I think in the last message I spoke about, sometimes we can't sit still or listen because it's just too hard. Like, I know there was one day that I sat down to meditate, and I think I just ugly cried the whole time, because as soon as I sat still enough to feel into the sensations in my body, there was a lot of emotional pain, and I just let the tears come. And I don't even think I ever got to the meditation, but had I not slowed down enough to do that, that wouldn't have happened. And I think I actually got really good sleep that night for the first time in like a week. So there was some power in that, and I don't know if I'm sharing that for someone to hear, but same thing with meditation, right? Like, they say that like praying is talking to source universe, and meditating is listening. And we're just so heavily distracted all the time, pulling in new content that like, and I'm speaking for myself too, the just sitting still and just listening to the quiet whispers instead of any external authority can be so powerful. And staying open enough to hear what is coming. And then they'll locate the balance between fate and free will. That's pretty powerful. I feel like that's like, I feel like we're right in that middle point between the eclipses of finding what is that. Where can I make choices, and where has the unconscious material showing up in my life as fate, which is a Jungian quote. And then I like how the snake symbolism is protecting and defending the words and the visions of the seer. So it's not malicious energy or dark energy. It's just a ton of power, which Pluto is power, disempowerment, empowerment. So I feel like for today, this is like a message to really tune in to your vision, tune into what your balance is. That was the Libra theme on the South Node. And then to just really take good care in the meantime. And I hope this is helpful in some way. I don't necessarily... I don't use evolutionary astrology or tarot cards for telling the future or predictive anything. It's more of like how to work with the energies that are currently up, and what are the messages, what are the things that are arising, and that what's happening in the presence is what needs to be worked with, if that makes any sense. But I don't know if that's alluring. Like, I don't know that it needs to be. It's just uniquely the way that I do it. So regardless, I hope it's helpful. If it is, take what you like. If it isn't, just set it down. And thank you for your time. Thank you for tuning in. I'm always open to feedback, reflection, sharing, constructive criticism. And if anything I say sparks something within you too, I'd love to hear that. I know I've given readings in the past where people say it just like sparks something to them. So, you know, we're all connected, and each little, if this can be a little light in the dark to spark something, and then it like be little other points of light, that even if it's just a few people, like that's enough for me. So take good care.